An attack on Ukraine's capital has left 5 buildings damaged, but no casualties were reported.
Millions of people in Ukraine remain without electricity, gas, heating or running water as Russian attacks continue.
In Kiev, 5 buildings were damaged in drone strikes just as the city's workday was about to begin. There were no casualties reported, but according to President Zelensky, the situation could have been much worse.
The terrorists started this morning with 13 drones. According to initial information, all 13 were shot down by our Ukrainian air defense systems. Well done, I'm proud.
And as winter rages on and temperatures drop, dozens of countries have pledged €1 billion to Ukraine during a donors' conference in Paris, so it can keep its people fed, warmed, empowered.
Winter is coming. How can people survive? Lord, what do they want from us? They do not let Ukrainians live as a nation.
Fighting in Ukraine has forced around 6.5 million people to flee their homes.
Just outside Kiev in Borodianka, some residents are facing the freezing Ukrainian winter without heating and having to find alternatives to stay warm. Electricity and gas grids have been badly damaged by Russian missiles over the last few months.
I switch on the electric heater and small fan, but it's not enough. This one is partly broken and hardly gives off heat. We cover ourselves with few blankets. That's how we sleep.
The fiercest battles are now taking place in Bakhmut, in eastern Ukraine. Moscow has been trying to encircle the city that has been bombing for months. Since the fighting began, most of Bakhmut's pre-war 70,000 population has fled.
I was promised a new combustion furnace for heating, but I never got it. How do we survive when the house is freezing cold?
President Zelensky explained the currently critical situation to a conference in Paris. Right now, about 12 million people in almost all regions and the capital are disconnected from the supply. Unfortunately, this is a typical situation for us, and we expect new Russian strikes every day, which can dramatically increase the number of shutdowns. Dozens of countries and international organizations pledged €1 billion in aid to keep Ukrainians powered, fed, warmed and moving as winter approaches.
Flooded roads in Lisbon is just one of the scenes in Portugal after the country was slammed by heavy rains. An orange alert has been issued. In the capital, authorities are using military equipment to help drain floodwaters, which has caused millions of euros in damage for the second time in the space of a few days. The same storm then moved over to its neighbor, Spain, where heavy rains also flooded roads and homes. The worst-hit place was the country's western Extremadura region, where a major highway had to be closed. In France, the snow is causing traffic chaos. France's second-largest city, Lyon, struggled with the cold weather on Tuesday. Parisians have been told to not venture out on Wednesday as more snow is expected to disrupt the transport network. People have been advised to work from home if possible. Over in the United States, Colorado dealt with heavy snow and periods of freezing rain. And in Texas, communities were faced with a line of thunderstorms that brought tornadoes, damaging winds, hail, and heavy rain.
Bosnia and Herzegovina is a major step closer to joining the European Union after the bloc's European Affairs ministers agreed to recommend the country be granted candidate member status. The decision taken at a Brussels meeting on Tuesday is expected to be endorsed by the leaders of member states at a summit on Thursday. It's already been welcomed by the Union's Enlargement Commissioner, Olivier Vahi. In a tweet, he declared the EU path is open. Bosnia joins Serbia, Albania, North Macedonia and Montenegro among Balkan nations to have one official candidacy. Kosovo is working towards the same goal. But it can take many years for full membership to be granted. With its complex internal structures and multi-ethnic composition, Bosnia and Herzegovina has a lot of work to do to achieve the reforms required by Brussels to become a member of the club.
Nearly 13,000 Albanians have arrived in the UK so far this year. While most of the images show people boarding buses, a third of all of those who make it to Britain come in small boats, making the dangerous, often lethal journey across the English Channel. Many say they're fleeing corruption, low quality of life, and even modern slavery. But now the British Prime Minister is vowing to clear what he calls a backlog of asylum seekers, adding the vast majority of Albanian nationals arriving without visas will be removed immediately.
So today I can announce a new agreement with Albania and a new approach. First, we will embed Border Force officers in Tirana Airport for the first time ever, helping to disrupt organised crime and stop people coming here illegally.
Many of the Albanian asylum seekers are single adult men. The numbers represent around 1% of the country's working age, according to figures from Eurostat. In recent months, rallies have exploded onto the streets of Albania's capital Tirana and other cities, protesting against the rising cost of living. But British ministers say Albania is a safe country and Albanians are less likely to be granted asylum than other nationalities.
UK inflation declined at the sharpest rate in 16 months to 10.7% in November, down from a 41-year high of 11.1% in October. Despite the easing, British officials said it was too soon to say whether if the inflation had peaked, as the country is struggling with supermarket prices rising and high energy costs. Wednesday's news follows an international trend, as the US announced on Tuesday a second consecutive drop in inflation rates. Europe's November rate is expected to drop to 10% from 10.6%, according to Eurostat.
U.S. President Joe Biden has signed a historic bill that will give federal protection to same-sex and interracial marriages in this country. The legislation comes after concerns were raised that the Supreme Court could attempt to reevaluate the cases that had previously legalized unions, regardless of sex or race.
This law and the love it defends strike a blow against hate in all its forms. And that's why this law matters to every single American, no matter who you are or who you love.
68% of Americans now support same-sex marriage.
Lionel Messi is just one game away from having his hands on the World Cup. A comfortable 3-0 win over Croatia saw Argentina fans erupt outside the Lusail Stadium in Doha. A penalty kick from Messi kick-started the party, followed by two from Julian Alvarez.
Well, for the tens of thousands of Argentina fans here in Qatar, they got the result they wanted. Lionel Scaloni's men have booked a spot in a World Cup final for the second time in 8 years. And with Argentina fans well acquainted by now with the iconic Lusail Stadium, they'll be flocking to the 88,000 capacity venue, cheering on Messi and company on Sunday.
The scenes back home in Buenos Aires were just as ecstatic. Fan zones have been dotted all around Argentina's capital. And for Argentinians, the pride and joy is uncontrollable.
They have achieved what we all wanted. There's still a long way to go, but this Sunday I want to cry with joy.
We have faith in Messi and the other players. Game after game, they show us that we are the best in the world.
Whether it's France or Morocco, it doesn't matter which one. We'll welcome them with great happiness.
The Albi Celeste have won their last 4 World Cup semi-finals, but they have lost their 2 last finals in 1990 and 2014 against Germany. Now, as you see, a whole nation counts on Lionel Messi to lift the most sought-after football trophy in the world, 36 years after Diego Maradona. Cyril Forenis for Euronews in Buenos Aires.